Welcome to the channel, folks. Clunkers and Classics, where last episode we fixed these quarter windows best I could. Figured it'd be easier to fix them before we put the quarter panels on. So we were waiting for parts and we did that. Didn't really necessarily have to do this back window channel, but it came in, so we stopped and did that. That was the last video. Welded in all new window channels around there and mounted the back glass in there. So if you haven't watched them two videos, go ahead and watch them, get caught up, because now we are ready to make it look like at least half a car. The front end's wasted, but fixing to weld on the quarter panels and the rear tail panel. And I started without you guys. And you can see the tail panel is on from last video, but it's just one bolt holding it there and one screw there. It's just sitting there. It's not ready to weld on yet. Where I was just lining stuff up. So the first thing you need to do is make sure your door gaps, make sure your doors are good. That's the other thing. A couple of videos ago we fixed the door pin and bushing on the driver's door, so it's got a good gap and it opens and closes good, lines up good. Very important. You don't want to have a sagging door pin and line your quarter up to a sagging door, especially if you're using a full quarter. Now I'm using 80% quarter panels, so it only goes up to here. It doesn't include the sail panel, and it doesn't include this section here. Okay, so yeah. There's room for adjustment a little bit more than a full quarter would be. Full quarter, you would have to line up every little perfect thing. But anyway, both doors stick out just a little bit at the bottom. I mean, just a hair. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to, mainly because that bottom hinge, see, this is just a hair out, but that's okay. But to do that, you would get that bottom hinge, loosen it. Now the bottom hinge is, yeah, I forgot to paint this. This bottom hinge here isn't bolts like this. It's those Phillips heads. You can't see them too good. I'll show you from the inside. You would have to loosen them and tilt the door in just a hair, and it would line that up. But we're not going to do that, because you're not going to get these. You're not going to get these Phillips head bolts loose right here without breaking them. And there may be a special type of tool to get at them, but to get at them in this position, no, you're not just gonna get a little stubby screwdriver and loosen them. They are gonna be jammed in there and rusted for, you know, being 58 years old. Yeah. So we're just gonna leave that sticking out a little bit. Everything else lines up good, and we're not gonna adjust a new quarter panel to the door that sticks out. You know, this door here has been whacked right here. Both doors need to be reworked anyway. You could work this door out so it's pretty much even all the way down to about here, but you're not gonna do this, and you're not gonna align a new quarter panel to the door that sticks out a hair. I mean, you could. I think that's just the way it's made, guys. You sit there, you get a 2x4 and a big hammer and bend that in a little bit. But for right now, I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to weld the new quarters on exactly how the old ones were on there. We're not going to conform it to messed up stuff. Okay? So, I'm going to put in the headline that, I just light my cigarette. That nothing fits. Now, there's nothing easy about putting on new panels. I'm sure you guys have watched other videos and guys have hell putting new panels on, and they blame it on, they blame it on the aftermarket parts, and they blame it on the previous been wrecked, or, well, that's all part of it. Yeah, what are you going to do? Buy a new GM? Yeah, you take a time machine back to 1975 and you might be able to have GM build you a new deck lid, or quarter panels, but that's all we got right now is aftermarket stuff, so you got to make it work. And to me, it don't matter too much about what brand they are. Some people, oh, this brand will fit better than other brands. Yeah, well, no. I remember working at a Mako way back in the day, in the 80s, doing body work, and we, you know, Mako was cheap paint jobs, but body, anyway, used a lot of aftermarket body parts. And I think there was way more choice back then. And I don't know what we were putting, hoods maybe? Doing hoods. And there must have been 7 or 8 different manufacturers of hoods. Oh, you know, there's like today, Taiwan or Japan or whatever, China or whatever. And we had all 7 or 8 manufacturers bring over a hood for a car, and none of them fit. So none of them fit worth a damn. Some a little bit better than others, and ever since then it's like, you know, they're not going to be able to make them perfect. So I want to get off track too much and start rambling. So I'll show you what I did first off. Okay, we had the deck lid off. Well, we had new deck lid, new spoiler, and I need all the the nuts for putting the spoiler on. Only got one holding it on there. I need to go to the hardware store and get 8 of these. So we had that off, painted the underneath of it, had it on the stand, and so I come out here. Now it had no tail panel on here. I need these for the new quarter panels. Like I said, my quarter panels only come up to here. So that's why I left all this jam and everything on there. And plus it's easier to line it up, right? You think about it, if you had all this stuff cut off and you're starting with nothing there, well, where are you gonna start trying to line stuff up with? So we got these to line up the deck lid. We know where it's supposed to go. Now the old deck lid that I was gonna fix, I had put that on there and it lined up great all the way around. So I wasn't too worried about trying to alter stuff to make an aftermarket part fit. So the other day I put this deck lid on, and of course I wanted the spoiler because you mentioned in, if you remember, I mentioned in that video I didn't know about this gap here, where there's supposed to be a gasket or a something in there. Well, right after that I subscribed to Maple Motors there, and I watched a couple of videos. He had a 67 and a 68, I think, Camaros. And yeah, see, they sell them for around 35 grand, but they need a lot of work. I mean, one of them it looks good from 20 feet, but every couple inches of that paint that looked great from a distance just needed all new paint and body work. And anyway, they're not the best cars, but they look good from a distance. But they need all kinds of, you know, gas gauges and horns, and, you know, stuff don't work and all that. But anyway, the spoiler looked just like this one. Had that kind of a gap there, and here. Okay, so okay, so I come out, put the deck lid on. Now I didn't have this tail panel on. Now these, I got a screw holding it on there. Of course, these are you know, a lot of flex in them because there was no support. You know, just pretend this tail panel isn't here. So so I put the deck lid on, and of course, since then, since I fit the original deck lid on, we replaced this. But of course, I lined it up perfectly with this edge and this edge. So it lined up, should have the same gap as the factory. And then we just put the windshield in, and sure enough, it's got a nice gap along there too. So this is perfectly lined up. See, if you had nothing, if you cut the whole car apart, trying to line parts up was gonna be a real bitch. So I put the deck lid on, and so I wanted to line up the gaps here around the corners and the back, and that's all I was worried about, just getting that lined up. Well, this piece seemed higher, but what I was doing was these top of the quarters were down farther. They were kind of flopping down a little bit. So I'm just guessing where they're supposed to be. So when I closed the deck lid, it went, you know, down to about here, say. It went a couple inches farther down. So when it did, because actually right now, it lines up good here, but it looks like this quarter panel's all down. Although this will close a little bit more. So it looked a little high here, or the deck lid was high. So I pushed it down a couple more inches, and then it looked like it lined up to these really good. See, this quarter panel here is all messed up. I should have, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna have to put in a patch and stuff here later. So I'm pushing the deck lid down so it lines up more flush with this, right? So as I did that, it brought the whole deck lid down up here, and this looked higher. This looked like it stuck up higher than the deck lid. So that's what I got this wood here for. So I had a piece of wood here and my hammer, this hammer here, and I beat on this till it got flush with the deck lid. Now there's a screw up on my part because I should have done the quarter panel first. So I was trying to get that down and get this flush. So what happened was it brought this gap. See, it's where it's supposed to be there, and then it's real tight in the middle, and then the gap's good there. So after I did that, then I've got this quarter panel. See these screw holes here? I had this screwed on with three screws. So I had this lined up, and then so it comes and it sits a lot higher than this. It's up more with this. I'm going to put it back on here in a minute. I took it off to do the window regulator. So, and what we got to do with this, of course, we got to line the quarter up with all this, but we need to weld in this piece here. We need to weld this in to the wheel well. We left all that kind of loose because we didn't know where all this was going to line up. This piece welds into here to that back panel under there, and then this the quarter panel actually welds to this edge. So when I did that, and well, I just put that quarter panel on with screws on the front, so it was just sitting there. It was pretty rigid right in here. So then I put on the tail panel, and then that's where I figured out, well, this is where the trunk lid's supposed to go, right there. It's supposed to go right there. So it's I gotta pull this up some more. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little jack and put it right here, a little jack, and jack this up. It's not bent like kinked or nothing, it's just the whole thing's pushed down, but we're just gonna jack it up to where it lines up. I think same with these quarter panels, although these should be pretty damn close. But new quarter panel could be off. So then I go to put on this rear panel, and this is where the rear bumper goes to. 2 holes here, 2 holes on the other side. These are right. This is just a shock bolt that I had. So there's 2. You see the bolt hole there. Well, it doesn't line up to all 4 holes. If you line it up to these 2 where it's at now, these 2 don't line up. The holes are here. So either the aftermarket part's wrong, or this frame rail, which very possibly could be, this frame rail here is over just a hair. I don't think it is, because when I put it on that trunk floor, it seemed to be in the same spot as this side, as we welded in this whole trunk floor. But then again, it was hit, or they pushed it around with a truck or something, and if you remember, it had a big dent right here and into the deck lid. It was hit pretty hard because it smacked that deck lid pretty good in here. They're pushing around with a forklift or something, and that very well could have got that frame rail over, kinked it over a little bit, but not enough to see a kink in the frame rail. Like when I did the mini tubs wheel wells, you couldn't see a kink or nothing. So I think it just came over a hair and made it so this didn't line up, or it could be a combination of both. Come over a little bit and the aftermarket parts don't line up. No big deal if this is the problem. I don't have all the parts for this to check everything. I don't have a bumper and brackets to bolt on here and see where it would. But then you got another problem. You know, is an aftermarket bumper good to guide by? So. Yeah, or use as a guide. So I don't have anything. If I put that quarter panel on, get it clamped or screwed in there, is the bumper going to be out too far, in too far, on either side? We don't know, because you got a bumper and brackets. Most we can do if it comes to that is to drill different holes and line up the bumper and the brackets. So that's going to happen with any parts, putting putting all that stuff on there. So I couldn't put a bolt in this because it didn't line up. But I got it lined up height-wise to these, and then I just put a screw in right there, which goes into this piece here. So we're going to weld this in. We're going to weld it all in there, but we're gonna be putting drilling holes here and welding it all in this area, and here too. All in here, it's supposed to have holes, and we'll weld that all into this. So that's how it gets welded in there, and then it gets welded to this bottom lip, this bottom lip to that lip. We got to clamp them together, and that's how that goes. Same thing here. We got a brace here where it's got to be welded, and then once this gets in there like that, yeah, I can't remember. I think this does not get welded right here. They just get welded at the top and at the bottom, and then the quarter panel meets up to that. But the quarter panel gets welded in here, I believe. Okay, yeah, it's so to get the quarter panel gap lined up to the trunk, pushed it over and put a screw in there and a screw in there. So it's a pretty good gap on both sides, about the same. So if we got the front, the sides, and the back, then that should be good there. Now we'll work on the quarters, because the quarters are going to be a little bit tricky here, because it doesn't have this perfect area to weld to on the tail panel on the new quarter panel. It's just got a lip thing there. It's not contoured to fit in behind that tail panel. So anyway, I know it sounds a little complicated, but okay, so I'm going to stick this quarter panel back on with some screws. Like I said, so the first thing you want to do is you want to line up your quarter panel to this door gap that we got perfect. The factory quarter panel has a lip, which I'll show you on the other quarter panel, has a lip here. So the factory is, you would have to, if you wanted to do it like the factory, you would have to cut out these braces, and I believe that brace there, you would have to cut that out and then stick your quarter panel lip underneath all that, and then weld this back, and then weld these back. And you know, trying to do it in through this hole, it's almost impossible. I mean, it can be done, but to me, sometimes you'd have to do that up north, but this is a southern car, so all this isn't rotted out. Rockers are not rotted out, bottom of the quarter's not rotted out. So I just went, you know, an inch or so from the bottom and ground it down and cut the new quarter panel off. So we're going to join these together and just weld the new quarter to this. Okay. So I already cut this quarter panel here. Already cut that. That's what we're going to weld. This is the passenger side. Let me just Okay. See, this kinked a little bit. Didn't notice that, but that's okay. So this is the lip here that would go underneath all that. And that's what I cut off. I cut it, you know, I cut it about 1 inch up and did away with that. So, okay, you see the holes where I had it screwed on there. So what we want to do, we line the quarter panel up to that first, and then you want to line it up to the wheel well, but it looks like the wheel well is kind of forgiving. It's a big round type thing, and same with the lip on this quarter panel. It's a big old round thing, and it should be able to push on there. Even if it's not perfectly aligned, it should get in there pretty good. And you could just bang it to actually this side lines up really good. I don't think I've tried the other side though. So yeah, you want to make sure it lines up good around here after this, and screw it on, and then work your way back here. So yeah, I should try to put this one, I should probably do the same thing as the driver's side and put this one on. But let me screw this one on that I already had on first and show you what I was just talking about, and then we'll work on the other side. And we're gonna have to take all this stuff on and off a few times, because we're gonna have to figure out, see, the bottom of the quarter panel will weld to the bottom lip of this, and see, we don't know exactly, I left that loose like that because we don't know exactly where it's supposed to go to here and to here. But once we do, then we can mount it, or do these welds first. We'd have to get these welds done, holes drilled and welds done on there and here first before we weld the quarter on there. So that's why we have to put it on there to fit, and then take it back off and do this, and make sure everything's lined up here. Then, you know, you got to drill your holes where you're going to weld it and all that. And then on here, we'll decide if we want to butt it up there or overlap it, but it comes up, you know, 1 inch or 2 above here. I know this, we're definitely going to cut this down to here. I think the new quarter panel comes up to about here, but we're going to be cutting it down to about here. And then we got to cut out for the lip here and join it into the jamb somehow. But anyway, I'll showing you that while the quarter's off. Let me stick this quarter on there, and then I'll show you again. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys. So I got one screw there, one there, and one there. You can see where I'm going to weld it up right in there and smooth that out, so all this is flush. Okay, the rockers, and like I said, everything's good on this. So yeah, you could move this quarter out. It's so close. I think just a piece of wood and a hammer, bend that in a little bit. Anyway, this is the new lip. I just overlapped it, but we will cut it and butt weld it in there and hammer all this straight. You know, you can see it's not flush or anything. But anyway, we're just kind of trying to line up the whole thing right now, so you can see where it overlaps right in there, and you can see where it goes over the lip right in there, and then right up in here it gets a little tight. So from here over it's good. Now this whole back end is the problem. You can see the original, I ended up cutting that when I was cutting it off, the old one off. So or cutting the little tabs and stuff off of it. So you can see, I think I screwed up thinking that this quarter panel had all this on it, or not that, but this right here, which it doesn't. So we're gonna have to kind of make something in here, I believe. But see, this should be over here, I would assume. See, this here should line up right to them there. But we gotta, I guess we're gonna have to cut this, or cut this, and get that to overlap over it. But anyway, see, this whole back end is just loose. Now, according to this quarter panel, all this is low, which it very well could be. It does seem a little bit low there. When I put a piece of wood and bent this down, did I bend this down? I don't think so. I don't think I was hitting it that hard. I wasn't hitting it very hard at all. But could we use a jack? See, there's actually a brace, a very thin brace right in here. Show you on this side. So, well, I don't know how good you can see. It's a little thin brace that goes across there that gives it strength from the trunk hinge thing, and it's like glued or something on there. So yeah, could I put a jack and a piece of wood there and push that up? Yeah, I could, but is that where it's supposed to be? We don't know. This quarter panel could be off, or a combination of both could be off a little bit. But we need to line this up first to get that in. See, this probably wouldn't be so bad, but it would need a lip. It would need a lip in here so it welds to this. There's a tab. There's a tab right here where my finger is, and that's supposed to weld to the new quarter. But this quarter don't have a tab. I think I cut too much off of it, off the original one. But anyway, that's what we need to line up. This needs to come over. Yeah. This is at the point where, man, I should have bought full quarters. But like I said, guys, the full quarters were $500 more each. So I'm saving $1,000 to screw around with all this fitting and stuff. At $1,000 is $1,000, so that's why I did it that way. And I thought I mean, this side here is not bad at all, but this side here, it's pretty rotten right around where that brace was. See, so. But all I was looking at was like the jam area was pretty good. I didn't really notice all them holes and stuff there. But well, the jam and stuff's pretty good. We just need the 80% quarters. Okay, so I still got a lot of lining up and clamping and stuff to do. Like I said, this lip here, go to here. We'd have to drill some holes in here. And that would clamp on there, but we can't get that over until we fix this situation. And same with getting this in. See, this will go in, but you know, we can bang that in a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit tight right in there, but we can bang that in a little bit, and that'll slide over top like this. See, this is where it's supposed to be here. So I don't know. I'm thinking about just cutting that lip off. That lip's from the on the wheel well. Thinking about just cutting that off, make it look better. I don't know. But how it welds on, you just drill holes here and weld the quarter to that all the way around. So this is lined up good there, but okay. I think what we'll do, and also, you know, they got that spacer there, so this spoiler does not hit the bottom of the quarter. That's what it's for. It lifts it up. So if it wasn't there, you close it and this would hit there. So basically, we got to. That's part of the lining up process too. You want to make sure that this thing is not up too high or too low. But if you push down on it, we don't have the latch or nothing on there because it welds to this tail panel. And if you push down on it, then this deck lid will get even, and it's a pretty good gap. I think that's probably where it's supposed to be. And of course, since it's screwed to here, and this ain't gonna move. So I think this is where it's supposed to be on both sides, because the gap for the spoiler is good. So what we got to do is conform this new piece to this. And I think the only way to do it is to be cutting it up, and it's not going to slide over top of there. And maybe it's not meant to, but anyway, I think what I'm going to do is do the other quarter panel same way I did this. Cut the bottom off, put 3 screws in the front, and get that over here, and see how that lines up over here as well. Okay, so let me do that, and I'll be back. So that way we know we're not dealing with a screwed up quarter panel. If they're both like this, then yeah, we're gonna do some surgery, and we're gonna have to build a lip in there or something. I have seen these Camaros, you know, all finished up and everything, and they're welded up solid here. So that's what somebody, see this, I think it's supposed to line up flush with this line here. Yeah, this one does. It lines up onto this line here. But this is too far in. And I look to the deck lid, and the gap from here to the deck lid is good with this side. So something's screwed up here. See, it's over an 1/8 of an inch right there. That lip needs to be closer. See, that one you could probably push, but I think right in here, a little bit screwy. Okay, well, let me get the other quarter panel on. We'll go from there, see how it fits. Okay, guys, forgot to mention, when you line the quarter panel up, screw it on there. Make sure this body line here is lined up, and this one here is lined up. Okay, so I got the other side same way. Got screwed it on there, 2 along the bottom, and again got the body lines lined up, and a pretty good gap there. So we're going for that. Just had to pull this out a little bit, so that's lining up good there. And that'll slide in eventually after we get everything else lined up. So I'm going to leave that a little bit loose. Again, look how, although this lip, you know, it could be But according to that, this is all low here. I know it's low right here, but all the way from there to here, I don't know. We'll figure that out. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same here. I don't. See how that's not supposed to be there. It's made to trim it to fit. So that's what we're gonna have to do to these quarter panels. We're gonna have to trim it to fit in here, and then build a tab in there to weld that tab to here, so we have an actual gap here instead of filling it in. And then we got to cut it here to fit that over top. Anyway, it'll probably take a while to do, but our guide is that it's supposed to be flush with this, I believe. And then once we get that lined up, we can see that'll go in. Like I said, just like the other side, we got that brace here and here. It needs to be welded in. Or that brace be welded in. Actually, this one I think is farther back, but anyway. Yeah, that's actually right there. Anyway, it's a start. I said we get a line up. You just got to make sure this is in the right spot, these quarters here are in the right spot, and then we can conform this new quarter to fit this. Okay, and so far that's what it looks like, that everything is lined up. I did line it up without the spoiler on it to line that trunk lid, the gaps from here and here. So I'm pretty sure all this is good. Anyway, let me mess around with it and I'll be back. Okay guys, I took the spoiler off just so you can see how it's, if you push it down there, it lines up pretty good here. But it's sticking up in here on both sides, but we'll jack up the back of this here in a little while. But anyway, that's lined up pretty good too around here. So I think that's pretty good there. So I think this is good, and this is good. We just got to conform this to this. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay guys, took the tail panel back off. First thing I got to do is line this up. This is too high right here. You know, when it got hit right here, it kind of bent this, because this is more flat right here. So that's what was not making this line up. The tail panel actually had to come out this way a little bit. So if I tried to line it up, the tail panel would line up about here. So once I dolly straighten this out a little bit, this will bring this back forward here a little bit more. It needs to come like this. And then we got to line up, like I said, we got to line that up, and then we got to cut to make this fit. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, obviously this wasn't meant to replace this. See the distance here? Look how wide it is over here. See? I think it's the same company, but this is an old piece of the quarter panel here, and this is this part of the tail light right here, right where it curves. So where it bolts on is about that thin. See, from the body lines. There's the body line there. So it has to be trimmed like that and then a piece to weld into this, weld it onto that edge. You can see this body curve right here. Well, this is a lot wider. So that should come, that distance should come all the way down to here, and then it starts curving, starts getting a little bit wider there. So it's gonna have to come down like this, then get a little bit wider. And I don't know where this is gonna end up. So anyway, that's what I gotta do first. I can move that away from there. I'm gonna put a piece of masking tape along where I think that is, and then cut that off. And then we're gonna use this. So we'll cut away this here, cut away this here, and we'll use these two body lines instead of those two, and move it over and see what happens. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so I measured out from that body line with there's a piece of tape and a little bit is how the width of this is. So I'm just cutting that out right from there. And there's no lip here all the way down. Well, and then not to weld to anyway. Not a big lip like up here. So we're just gonna cut it from there, because we don't know, below there we don't know how much of this, but I believe this tucks up underneath here. Actually, I think this is supposed to meet this and no welds to it. It's something, I think this welds to that, and then this just welds underneath the quarter panel. But we can't get that lined up until we get all this situated. So anyway, I'm just cutting that out right there. So it's about to come off, just a little bit more cutting. And then we'll go from there. Be right back. Okay, I cut that piece off right here. Okay, so that's what this should look like. So we don't need this, and then it just goes just a little bit here, past there. So right, actually where that cut was, where I was cutting it off, cutting the old quarter panel off. So what I'm gonna do for now is I'm gonna cut this from there, and we'll keep this body line here to push it up against there. So we'll just cut that right there. Just cut this off. Get it out of the way. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay guys, you can see this, the old piece here is flat, completely flat here. Then you can see this piece is tilted on an angle. So that's what it's got to be, kind of flat and kind of tilt in there. But anyway, I think I got the right amount cut off there. I screwed on this a little bit better. There's a pretty big gap between where it welds on. So I put some more screws in there. That's where that's gotta go. So we got to, I want to build this first. I'll use that metal I cut off there and build the tab around here. And then we'll have to do something about this. And then we'll have it like that to make it fit flush. And then we're gonna have to take this off, take these panels off, and we're gonna have to drill all the holes in here, and for that brace underneath there, and get all that welded in, then put the quarter back on, weld it on there, and figure out where we wanna, if we wanna butt this up or what. I got an idea what I'm gonna do, but so basically get this quarter welded in there. and take this off, and then fit that on and off, and make sure this lines up and this lines up. Like I said, I think this, this quarter panel's got to go in more like that, and this goes over top and welds underneath there. So we'll have to get that all lined up, and we'll get this side lined up, and then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So that's where we're at. So I'll come back later when I get this built here. Okay guys, I'm out here the next morning. I was working last night and had a torrential downpour, so I had to stop. Okay, so just the door jamb where we're gonna weld it in. This is the bottom of the quarter. Got all the holes drilled and weld through primer on there, and then all around the wheel well here. Okay, I'll grind this once it's on there for the top. And yeah, we got this at the right length. What I got to do is I got to build the tab that way, but I'm not going to do that till it's on the car. And then we're going to take that tail panel on and off a few times to get it lined up. It's lined up around here, but I want to get that tab like this welded on, and then line it up perfect, and then we'll weld it through the back here and weld it in there and have that same factory gap there. Okay, so got it all. I'm gonna cut off a little piece here, so we're gonna weld it in here instead of up here. Originally it was up here, now it's gonna be down here. So this is where it's gonna be welded to, right here, and I'm going to weld it over top instead of cutting it and butt welding it. I think this is going to be a lot stronger. It'll be easier to work this area here, and then I'm going to leave this body line on there for extra strength. It's pretty rigid, and if you cut that off, then you just got that aftermarket, which is probably thinner metal. And anyway, that's the way I'm going to do that. And ground it all down here, so we're just going to weld it around here and grind that and smooth that out. So we're just going to leave that whole tab on there, and like I said, we're going to weld it across here. And then I got all this ground out. That's where we're going to spot weld it to. And then I got this lower floor extension welded on. This welds on to that reinforcement bar underneath there, reinforcement panel. It had a big tab here. That's where it gets welded on. And when I had the quarter fitted on there, yeah, this needed to go in pretty far. So that's about where it should be. We got to do it to the other side too, fit it. And then I put some extra welds here in case this didn't help, but this is basically the welds in here, and then weld there. So I'm fixing to I'll put some primer and black paint on here, and then just some weld through primer around all the bare metal spots. And then we're going to fit the quarter on there and weld it on there, and then that'll be done for that. So we got to rework this little corner here. That's why I got to have the quarter on there and build this up a little bit, just this little corner. So that's why I got to have the welder on, or the quarter welded on there to do that. And then we'll undo this rear panel and fit that up, and we'll probably have to do the same thing to this quarter once I get that far. But for now, fixing to put that on there and weld it on, so I'll be back. Okay guys, she's pretty much ready to weld up. Had some screws to line it up, and then some clamps to hold it. This went in farther than I thought it would. Or, you know, you don't know if it's right or not, but it didn't quite line up on this deal here. I mean, it'll weld fine, but it should be like this. But that's because I had to really put a lot of pressure there. Then we got to weld it up under here. So we needed it up underneath this tail panel here. This tail panel doesn't actually weld to this. It welds up underneath this lip here. So it'll have to be all clamped and everything later on. So this is a little deal I got working so far. But see, this is where I got to build it. You know, it's kind of screwy like that, because according to that other piece, it's flat here and then on an angle there. So we got to get this little area here. Anyway, I used a jack and jacked this quarter up a little bit and screwed it all in there. It seemed to line up the decklid a little bit better, but I think I could do some more adjustments to that. So anyway, for now, I'm going to weld up this quarter panel, and we'll go from there. So I'll be back. Okay guys, I got all the bottom welded and grinded all along here, all along the spot welds there. I'm thinking about cutting that off because I don't know if you can see that on a factory one or not. Thinking about cutting wheel, cutting that off. Yeah, then weld it up under here. And I said that there needs to be welded underneath once I take this off. But yeah, I still need to weld all the top, but it's getting pretty hot out. The sun's right on me. Okay, I'll be back later today. Okay guys, I want to show you what I got done last night until the bugs drove me nuts. I had a bunch of bug spray I got from anyway, I was spraying that around and that didn't seem to help. Anyway, I got all this welded up, and I got some of that Duraglass fiberglass reinforced Bondo stuff. That's waterproof. I always put that over the welds there in case there's any pinholes. That way the water won't get in and rot out the Bondo and make it crack and bubble and all that. So I always put a coat of that over, and then you can finish it out smooth with Bondo. But anyway, got all that welded in. Got it all welded in here, up to here. Like I said, I gotta work this. I still don't think that's right, but it's anyway. Same thing around here. Got all that welded up there, welded up along the bottom there and there. I'm gonna cut this off here in a little bit. I'm gonna cut that edge off. I did buy, although I didn't realize it at the time, they were back ordered or something, but the chrome wheel wells, I ordered them because I was buying other stuff and had a set for $99.99, and I thought, well, and I was buying, I don't know, was it from Jigs or one of them that offered free shipping? So I was buying something with free shipping, and then those wheel wells came up, and I thought, I'll just add that, then I won't have to pay shipping. So $100, pretty good. But then I didn't notice it until about a week later. I look on my purchases on eBay, and it said mid-July expected shipping date. So anyway, no rush for it. But anyway, I am getting the chrome moldings. I don't know how far they go in or whatever. Also, I've been watching some videos on these, and this one did have it. You can see the screw holes there. It had that chrome that goes along the bottom. If those aren't too much, I think I'll buy them, because you know the car's going the factory black, so it's going to be shiny black, and man, that chrome is going to look good. Black and chrome just look good. Anyway, this quarter's just about done. Like I said, it's tucked in back here. I'm going to take this panel off here in a little bit so we can make this quarter piece, and then we'll put it back on, make it fit. And once that's off, then we'll weld this quarter to that tab back here, and we'll get all this situated, and then we'll get this quarter panels just on by a few screws. So once that quarter's done, then the tail panel's done, we got to grind all these areas here. I think I showed you where it welds onto. Get all that ground down, ready to weld out on there. Then we'll work on this quarter panel. We got to do the same thing here. We got to make this one screw up. I just assumed that this fit onto there. I didn't realize it was just a thing you cut off, because it's more of a patch panel. Anyway, I'll be back later, show you some progress. Okay guys, next day we got more rain, so I had to quit early. Anyway, I welded in a tab right here. This is what it's going to weld to from the tail panel onto this. It's pretty damn close. May have to, I think right here is a little bit of a gap. May have to put a little bit of Bondo there to fill that out. Anyway, it just seems so screwy that it's supposed to be flat here, and then this big curve here, and we gotta mold that in there. So I welded it all in, and I'm just gonna put in some Duraglass there and try to smooth that. You see here, it's tilted in a little bit here, and then it goes flat. It's supposed to be flat there. Well, whatever that, oh, that's right. That piece there, see, it's completely flat. What's that right in there? And I guess it just kind of curves up. Anyway, I've had it on and off a few times. So I welded the quarter panel. This is the trunk drop down that is welded to the reinforcement behind here that we did earlier. And then the quarter panel welds onto this. See? And then the tail panel just sits like right in here. Doesn't get welded to it, just sits there. And then gets welded underneath. So that's where that's supposed to be. See, we got to do all this to this side later on, but I'm trying to get this one situated first. And then of course I welded all this up so we can save some water from the rain got in there. We're gonna grind and weld that some more. But this is protecting the main thing from rusting. Okay, I'll be back when I get some more done. Okay guys, so that's how I got it to fit. It's pretty good, except right here it's a little wide. I screwed up right in there. I don't know, I didn't really want to hit that or anything, so I think we're just going to fill that in later. I think I can push this panel out just a hair for that. Anyway, we're going to fill all this in with Duraglass. I welded up this area, so we're going to put some Duraglass all in here and try to shape this. Once we get that done, we'll take the panel back off and put a little bit in there. Okay, I'll be back. Hey guys, I got this side done. Turned out pretty good. Like I said, I've seen these welded up. People weld it up there and then weld it up down here, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so this corner's done. It's just in there by 2 screws. I said it needs to be all welded in there to tabs. That tab that I built there needs to be all welded in there, welded all across here. But what we're gonna do now is I only have this quarter on by a couple of screws, and we're gonna do it the same way as the other side. We're gonna drill all holes and everything, and get it all ready to weld like the other side. But we got to get this inner piece. It's sticking out over here. That's got to go in about right there. So we got to get this trunk drop off welded to this, just like the other side, and get that all situated before we can weld this on. But we'll weld on the front or whatever first, and then we'll get this sun's shining right in my eyes. But yeah, this is gonna have to be, we're gonna have to make it like the other side. So yeah, this piece here, just drop off, gotta be welded back there and welded in here like this side was. Okay, so let me get that all situated, and then we'll have to start cutting around here and make this fit. Okay, I'll be back. Got all this sanded down, put a little primer on that, and along here and around the wheel well. I started up here, but we need to still work. It was just about to rain earlier. I mean, all of a sudden it just clouded and looked like it was going to piss down rain. So I just put some spray primer on there real quick, and then sure enough it started raining. So so I didn't get all this smoothed out, but this will get all smoothed out. We'll go over that later. But as far as it all welded and everything on there, this quarter's done. Okay, I'll be back. It's almost dark. Got this piece welded on to that reinforcement panel there, and then the quarter panel is welded onto this edge here, and I got it welded in there so it's nice and strong. Welded in here. There's a little piece of metal missing there, so I had to put a little piece of metal there. The new quarter gets welded about halfway up. Other than that, just got it all welded in there. Okay, just figure I'd give you an update before it gets dark. I'll be back. Okay guys, got the right quarter all drilled, ready to weld on there. So I'm fixing to put that on there. Got the shop light out here. Not too many bugs, few. But yeah, she's fixing to be permanently welded on there now, so I'll be back. Okay guys, give you a little update here before it gets dark. It's almost dark. Got it all welded in here. Of course, I'm going to grind it down, re-weld little spots. Same with the wheel well here. Got all this screwed down. Started working on this area here. Got the back panel off. I got to build a tab up here. We got to put it on and off a few times. Painted this black here, this underneath, because it's going to be covered up by the tail panel. Welded on the quarter here to the trunk floor drop down extension thing, just like the other side. Painted all that black so the tail panel can weld on there now. Once I get this area situated, had a little extra black paint, so I just put a little black paint in this jam here and around this wheel well, and then a little bit on the tail panel. I already got the back of the tail panel painted black earlier, but I put some around the gas tank filler tube thing, and then this was all primered, so put a little black paint on that. So yeah, it'll be gone by the time this video gets out, but it's July 4th now. I don't know if you can hear any fireworks. There's lots of fireworks going off. It's not even dark yet. But 20 minutes, you're supposed to be here. The carrier's supposed to be here to pick that up, going to North Carolina. So we're just waiting on him. And we'll get the lights out here and start. Let that, see, there's some fireworks there. Start grinding some welds while the paint dries. And then we'll start building this tab here. Of course, it just pissed down rain earlier today. It's 20-30% chance of rain every day now, although it's still 90 degrees out. So yeah, I went in for a nap. Apparently it was just a downpour. Everything was just soaked. So anyway, just dealing with that too. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys, next morning. I was up late last night with that shipper. Anyway, Bumblebee's gone. You've probably seen the video. Yeah, he was here for about 4 hours. You know, to unload all 7 cars on his carrier just to put the Bumblebee in there, and then reload the 7 cars. And anyway, hopefully it makes it all in one piece, all the cars. Okay, so right before I got interrupted with him, I'll just show you how I was building this. You can see this tab here. It's a piece of metal, and I actually put another piece in here as a spacer, and then put this one on there, and then weld it in this way. And then I started grinding. I'm not gonna grind. See, I already hit this a little bit, but I'll take that off and I'll grind it smooth, put it on there, make sure it fits good, and then put some Duraglass all the way around here, build up this a little bit, and hopefully make it look like this side. So yeah, that's all I pretty much got to do, and then I can get this ready to weld in there. You know, we're going to weld it in here, here, and all along this seam, along here, and along the bottom. It'll get up underneath this tab right here. I'll have to drill a bunch of holes along here. We'll clamp that up like that and weld her in solid. And then it'll all be permanently mounted on there, and we'll just have to do the finish body work on this side, and a little bit from here up here. The rest of it's done. So anyway, that's what I'll be working on today. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys, I got it all sculpted in there, put a little primer and paint on there. So I'm all ready to grind off where I need to weld this, like I mentioned, and set it on there and permanently weld it on. So I'll be doing that later. Gonna go in for the day. It's 91 degrees. So I'll be back when it cools down a little bit. Okay, guys, show you what I got done last night. Just before I went in, it was dark. I mixed up a little primer with a brush and coated that in case morning dew made it rusty and around here, so it looks kind of shitty here, but it's all going to be sanded down and reprimed. Okay, got the tail panel on there, had it out over here, drilled all the holes, getting it ready to weld. Got it all screwed in here. It's going to be all welded in here and here. This area here, I put a bunch of seam sealer in there before I put this the tail panel on. Put a bunch of seam sealer around there, and then pushed in the tail panel, so it's all sealed in there, so no water, moisture, or anything can get in there. So I got all the holes drilled here, and then I screwed it all in there really tight all around here. So it's going to be welded around here and these holes. This is all ground down with some weld-through primer on it, and same with this side here. So it's going to be welded solid all the way around there. Then we'll weld in these screw holes after it's done. I still got to clamp. I got to clamp this to the bottom deal there. But yeah, factory-wise, this just goes like that. It doesn't butt up or join that or anything. I've seen them where they people have welded up this whole seam, make it perfectly smooth. But that's the way it's supposed to be from the factory, just looking like that. So, I don't know. Just like that. So, anyway, right now I'm going to weld her all up, and then we'll do some grinding and prime and paint all this inside when that's all done. Yeah, anyway, I'll be back later. Okay guys, got all this welded in here. Welded pretty good, lots of penetration, so I still got to weld in some more welds here. But yeah, this has got a lip on it here, and I was just looking on Google, and it's supposed to be flush. There's supposed to be a line in between the quarter and this, but not like that, not with that lip on there. See, unless this quarter was like this top part where it had a whole bunch of extra deal, so I'm not sure what to do. You know, it's welded in behind, this quarter's welded to that rear panel piece behind there, so I didn't want to cut the quarter there. I could just cut that lip off, but I don't know how straight I can get it now since I've welded all this on there. So I got it clamped to weld the bottom on there. I think I'll unclamp it and try to smooth this out and make that at least flush against there. Okay, well, I'll be back. Yeah, like I said, and this doesn't get welded to it or nothing. It just lays over top. Just gets welded along the bottom. So let me get the bottom welded, and I will I'll probably grind all the weld stuff here and smooth that out. But as far as in here, I'll probably just blow it out, put some primer and paint over top. I'm not going to worry about smoothing all that out. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, I'm out here. It's midnight. Fixing to put some primer on this and call it a night. Anyway, probably can't see in here. I put a little body filler, smoothed out those areas down here, all around the wheel wells there, along the bottom, welded all along there, mostly from the back. So this is all, put a little body filler there. Oh yeah, that's about the best I can get that there. I think what I can do is I'm going to put some seam sealer in there and kind of clamp it down a little bit. But yeah, I just cut off that edge because I just didn't think it looked right. I'm not sure It probably would be best just to weld that closed, but anyway, same on the other side here. See, I can't get it to stick, to lay flat against there. I got it all welded at the bottom. So that's all welded along the bottom. All in here. I did grind down these a little bit. Not much. I'm going to prime and paint them and put a little seam sealer over it. So, you know, I didn't grind too much over there. And did a little fill in there. Got a little bit of work on this jam here. I got some rust holes. I think I'm going to cut out this area here and put in a patch. That's why I kind of left this. I need to weld all that up, fill it in, and just a little bit more body filler work right in here. Smooth it out. But for right now, I'm going to lay some primer on there, so I'll be back. Okay guys, I got a couple of good coats of primer over them welded areas. All along there and all in here. Had a little primer left over in my gun, so I'm straightening out this top of this quarter panel here. I got this, I forget where this came from, cardboard, and then I got the little, these come in the roll of sandpaper, and just put a piece of sandpaper there, and see, because it's, you know, it's not flat, it's just kind of curved. That's what I use this for. So I'm going to smooth out this top area here, sand a little on here, and DA some up here, and put some primer there. We'll see. I think it's going to dry pretty quick in my gun. I probably got half an hour or so, maybe 15 minutes. And anyway, we'll use the rest of the primer on the top of this. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Okay guys, I used up the primer on this whole top area here, and always prime the new black metal parts. Always sand that black and put primer over it, and then scuff it and paint the over top the primer. So yeah, she's about 90% done. Except for the top here. I think I'm going to end the video on that. We got this brace here to put in, which goes in there somewhere, like something like that. I bought the new fuel neck, goes up from there to here. Few other things to put on to button it up. I don't have any weather stripping right now. Let me turn off this light here. But yeah, next video we're going to button this up. Like I said, we'll probably put a patch in here. I think that's about it. We'll button this up anyway. I got to get nuts, go to Ace Hardware and get nuts for that spoiler. I only have one. We'll get the spoiler on there. So that'll be on there. And we'll mix up some black paint. This is still the black primer on here, painted underneath. We were going to paint all black inside. Probably just put a coat of black on all this stuff here. Just button up the little stuff, and then we can move on to I think the next major thing is the floors. I got all the floors to weld in there. So that'll be the next major thing. But next video we'll button this up and then maybe start on the floors. I ordered a bumper. Ordered the bumper all through Jegs there, because if you $200 and over, it's free shipping. So I think the bumper was $160, and it came with the center bracket here. And then it was cheaper from another place to get the other brackets. There's another 4. One here, and 2 on there. So there's another 4. 5 altogether, but the bumper comes with the middle. So anyway, got that coming. I thought about ordering the bumper guards. Bumper guards, I guess, go down to this hole here. Comes up. But anyway, haven't got that yet. What else? Bolt kits. Oh my God. Of course, I had to order the bumper bolt kit. You know, that had the chrome stuff on there. And then the front end parts, a lot of them bolts are all rusty and some broke. I don't know, it's like $50 for a whole front end bolt kit. Comes with every clip, nut, bolt, different sizes, everything. Ordered that, and then I seen the interior kit, all the screws and clips and stuff. Ordered all the interior. It wasn't very much, $29 or something for all the interior screws. It's because, you know, I tried buying these little, I think I got one right here, little baggie of different size screws, but they always seem too long, or not the right ones, and not skinny enough, or not wide enough. And anyway, this kit's supposed to be for the whole Camaro interior, every screw and everything. So went ahead and ordered all that, you know, $320 worth of stuff. So anyway, that'll be coming, and we can fit that bumper on there and make sure that's going to line up and everything. Very, very important to make sure that's going to line up. And got your, we may have to re-drill the holes for this side here since it didn't line up. We'll have to do something about that. That's why main thing, I need the bumper. Put the spoiler on. I know for sure it's going to clear this, but just to be sure, you know, all that stuff. So anyway, I know the video is really long because I rambled at the beginning, but I wanted to go through all the steps, all the stuff you're gonna come across building one of these, and cheaping out a little bit by buying the 80% quarter instead of the full quarter. I said I didn't realize about all that extra metal there and how it wasn't gonna fit here, and you had to make it fit. And that's not for a beginner to put all that on. I mean, beginner, you can put a full quarter on, but it's tough to make it fit perfect. But anyway, I think it's pretty damn close. Other than, you know, like I said, we'll put a little seam sealer in here, I think, and I think that'll be it. The bumper's only going to cover here. It really doesn't cover that, but of course the car will be a lot lower. But anyway, I want to perfect that at the bottom. Yeah, we got to put seam sealer on the inside. I got to put seam sealer still on these wheel wells here around the deal. I just got, I think, 4 tubes. And where all them bumpers, bolts and stuff go, they got these little braces here. See this little brace? That goes on the inside of this. I've got them all. And then a big one on the middle. I don't know how they're on there. I think they're like glued on there or something. See, that's right. Anyway, we got to do something with them. I'll probably just use a chisel. I think it's adhesive on there. And then I got the old piece here with the middle. See, this piece has got the there's that brace I showed you here. And there's the gas neck. See, everything's all screwy. Where is that bumper? This, I don't know if we're gonna get that off. See the bumper brace right here? I should probably just order new ones. That's all bent to shit anyway. Oh, I do got the latch. Take the latch off, put it on there, and we'll get it open and closed real good. That's why you got to keep them old parts around till you're finished, because you got all the little shit. But yeah, they, you know, like I said, they make all the parts. But anyway, we'll button up the rear end next video and start on the floors. So subscribe if you haven't. Like, comment, share, all that stuff. And we'll see y'all next video. Thanks everybody for watching.